Welcome to Samuelsdottir channel. Kevin Samuels was truly a truth seeker, and after many years of educating both men and women of all races, but particularly those of African descent, in the art of navigating the ever-complex dating world, he was sadly ripped from our lives as he was called back home to the Almighty in 2022. Some of us, myself included, instinctively recognized the truth of his message. Many found his message rather unpalatable. I am hoping with this channel to make his message that little bit more digestible in a more feminine and softer manner. I hope this helps my sisters in the Black community who saw him as an enemy. Being Black myself, I hope I can bridge that gap. And oh, by the way, my father was also called Samuel, so in a twist of fate, I pay tribute with this channel to my father, who is also where Kevin has gone. I love how the Icelandic have a way of acknowledging someone's daughter in the same way as someone's son. So I appropriate the Icelandic way to find a suitable name for my channel, Samuelsdottir, Samuel's daughter. Enjoy the video.
Let's check the likes. Get the likes up, folks. All right, you guys see the title. Are modern single women losing? And what inspired this is, one, the focus groups I have. I had a focus group last week. I'm going to New York this week. I'm going to have another focus group in New York. I'm going to LA the week after. I'm going to have a focus group there. And I am starting, and as I get out into the field where the work is real, I am talking to college educated, professional women, and I will tell you that modern women are losing. They're losing because here's the reality, ladies. Let's talk about your education. I often hear people talk about, well, Kevin always says that men don't care about your education. We don't care about your education in this regard. We can't use you. Modern women are losing because we can't use you. Pretty much there's one use modern women have for most men, and that's sex. See, before, just like him, but hold on, let me flip the script. Ask the average single woman today, if you have to work just as hard, maybe even harder if you want kids, with a man, do you want a man? And almost 100% of the time, women will say, well, no, because modern women believe, or have been made to believe, that a man is supposed to make their lives easier. Modern women have been made to believe that having a man is supposed to make their lives easier or more comfortable. So if they can pay their own bills, provide for themselves, what do they need you for? And that is a losing mentality. Let me tell you why it's a losing mentality. Because you're going into relationships with men like this. What do I need you for? So if you went to Spelman, if you went to Georgia Tech, if you went to Alabama, if you went to UPenn, and you have all this other stuff, women today are not allowing themselves to be used by men. Let's change. You're not allowing yourself to be used by men. And that's why you're losing. Modern women are losing They're losing because you're not being used, because can't be used. Let's just change it this way. Let men let's just put it this way. Let's just do it this way. Let men use you. Ladies, women who win allow men to use them. You know they're going to lose their mind on that one. What do you mean they allow men to use? Yes, we can use you. Feminine, beautiful, and inspirational. We should be able to use you. You are a helpmeet after all. Well, and here's the thing. This is why I tell men in general, black men in particular, don't believe this crap about partners. Women today want you to be able to pay the bills because they feel like if you can't pay their bills, you can't tell them what to do. Well, here's the thing. If you're going to pay some bills, you need to be using her. She needs to be a feminine asset, a feminine tool. You should be able to use everything about this woman to your benefit and to her benefit. You should be able to use her network, her education, her income, anything that she possesses should be yours to use and direct for the betterment of the family. And this is the problem. Women today don't want to be used. Women today are so gosh darn selfish that this is why so many women get angry when you ask, what do you bring to the table? And their answer is, bring to the table. I'm not bringing anything to the table because I'm not going to allow you to use me. That's why that question infuriates women right off the rip. They don't want to be used. They want to use you. You are supposed to make their lives easier. And if you don't give them a life of upper middle class or lower upper class luxury, you don't matter. This is why you hear so many women saying, I can do bad all by myself, meaning, why should I work hard? Why should I work a 40-hour-a-week job with a husband? Why should I be paying rent with a husband? Why should I be doing any of this stuff? But yet you work harder. Single women work harder than other women because you do everything by yourself. You just don't recognize it until it's too late. But we're going to concern ourselves with the kind of men that are in the top 20% of men who give women options. Men who are in the top 20% of men, I'm a staunch defender of men and average guys, but average guys, I'm going to tell you, you got an uphill battle unless you are an exceptionally good looking, attractive, charismatic, quote unquote, Chad or jawline average dude. You got problems. Because a woman will have sex with you, but they will not allow you to use them. Women allow themselves to be used by men they respect. And the sad part today is most women don't have little to no respect for men. This is why you can see women talking about short men. You listen to a woman talk about a man having a preference. Women all day long can have preferences on a man's height. And not only will there be a preference, they'll insult a guy for being too short, but they expect men to choose women of all weight. And I said this, shout out to MTR. He made a video today that I made a comment on this one video. You know why this thing is so, you know why women today are so worried about men's height? Women today are so worried about men's height because they're either overweight or masculine. They're either overweight and or masculine. These are the women who worry about a man's height. Because if you're an overweight woman, you need a man that's bigger than you so you can feel small. Have you ever noticed that women who are fit, trim, and petite don't really concern themselves with how tall a man is. Not like big girls. Why is this important? Because when women have a preference, they're supposed to have a preference. They don't want to settle. Gentlemen, do not settle for a woman that does not allow you to use her. Think of it this way. If being your woman or your wife is a job, She needs to approach getting your relationship just like she approaches getting that job. But I want you to think of it this way. Think about the women, think about the archetypes: the attorney, the marketer, the doctor, the administrator, the creative, the realtor. Y'all remember those? The entrepreneur and the event planner. Think about those 8. Think about the female archetypes. Y'all want them again? Y'all want them again? Y'all want them again? Let's go. The female characters. The attorney, the marketer / MBA, the realtor, the degree or no degree version, the doctor, PhD / nurse, the administrator, office manager, HR, the creative, the entrepreneur, the promoter or event planner. Those women are women who most of them have a degree. But you could say they all have some sort of professional. A woman who is, on paper, they should be of use to a man. Why would you have a woman who's an attorney who can't be of use to a man? Why would you have a woman who's a marketer who's not of use to a man? Why would you have a woman who's a realtor who's not of use to a man? Why would you have a woman who's a PhD, a doctor, or a nurse or something like that not be of use to a man?
I'm a PhD.
Why would you have a woman who's an office manager or an administrator or HR not of use to a man? Why would you have one of these creatives that's not of use to a man? An entrepreneur? All these things on paper, and these are the things that women often say they bring to the table. You ask the average woman what they bring to the table, the first thing they're going to say is their education and their income. This is why we don't care, ladies, because we can't use it. We can't use it. You bring it and you say, look at it, here it is. But no. You can't use that. It's bait and switch is what it is. It's like we'll jingle it in front of you, but then we'll say you can't use it. Then why should we care? Modern women are losing because you can't use them. If you can't use her, she's losing. Get the likes up, people. We should have another 1,000 likes. Okay. 30 seconds. And the chat room goes away. What good is a woman you can't use, ladies? Ladies, if a man can't use you, what good are you? If you're not a feminine asset, you are of no use to a man. If you're not a feminine asset, you're of no use to a man. Why? Because it is just like having a car, a sports car, with no engine in it. It looks good. It's useless. A sports car on 4 flats, it's useless. If a man cannot use you, you are useless to us.
I reiterate the message of this video once again, just to prove a point I have made before, which is that actually the misconception that Kevin Samuels and other men of his generation, I suppose, and his circle of friends and his ilk do not like women with an education. That's not true. He, in this video, seems to contradict what he himself said, which is, other than horizontal gymnastics, women are of no use to men. Actually, there are many other things that women could do to help a man. And the problem is, in fact, that a lot of women would rather use their skills for themselves. This is the beef that a lot of men have with women. A man naturally uses his skills for the benefit of his family. He works harder when he's married. A lot of studies have proven that. He earns more when he's married or when he's pursuing a woman, because he knows that with a woman comes children, usually, and the responsibility increases all of a sudden. So in trying to pursue a woman, you end up feeding a family eventually. But somehow women don't have this particular glitch. A woman is, even at her most vile, at her most evil, she will at least hopefully think about her children. So the offspring, shall we say, not necessarily the man that gave her the offspring, but a man thinks of everyone, right? That's the difference. Now, the issue here is an education is not really attractive to a man when it's coming from a woman. However, if a woman's mindset is, I have my education, when I meet a man, I will use my education for the betterment of the whole family. I don't think many men would turn their noses up at this. But that's not the case. This is not what we find in, especially, I'm sorry to say, in the Afro-Caribbean or the Afro-American community. The Nuba queens want to be all independent and self-reliant and all that, and it's not exactly improving our lot in life. Using the royal we. I know that not every Black or Afro-American woman is in this particular category. It seems that it is, though, because that's all you hear, right? And this is quite a shame because it's so counterproductive to a lovely and pleasant family life. By all means, have an education. Don't spend all your time on it. Don't focus your whole persona, your whole life on it. But it's useful if you have it. And I think the more ambitious a woman is, actually the better eventually. Because it's what you use that education for, what you use that position for, what you use that status for that matters. You could be the most glamorous actress out there, but are you willing to use your fame, your platform for the betterment of your own family? Or are you going to throw your family under the bus in the interest of famous celebrity or infamy? That's the mindset that we need to examine here. So, let's continue with the video. Let's see what else Mr. Samuels has to say on this matter.
Why is this so hard to understand? And why don't modern women want to be used by men? Because they don't trust you. They have been told that you are the enemy. They have been told that you as a man are the source of all things bad. I was listening to a playback of, remember when K. Michelle was talking about how she said that in her opinion, she believes that men are bad people. Yeah, this is about a year or so ago. And when asked about this, she said, well, I'm the woman that other women come and pour their heart out to. I've heard some of the worst stories from women about the way men treat women. But see, over here, we don't just believe what people say. We question what they say. And over here, we find out more often than not, there's more to the story. But if you automatically go under the umbrella of men are bad people, men are to be looked out for, you can't trust them, they're going to hurt you, abuse you, or whatever, why are you going to go into any interaction with mankind in an open way? By definition, if you can't be used, you're not feminine. Feminine women are useful women. Masculine women are not useful. Masculine women are competitors. This is why when you sit around and deal with a masculine woman, you feel drained. It's because you're actually in conflict with these women. Well, hold on. I know there are going to be plenty of women out there saying that's fine and dandy, Kevin, but I can't put my guard down or whatever because I got to pay bills, such and so forth. Here's the answer. Fabian, I told you this. Ladies, here's the solution. Here's the solution. You already got your education. You're already out here and working. You feel like you're too far down the path. Here is the solution. Here is the solution to be of use to a man. Here's the solution to be of use to men. Here's the solution to show men with your actions that you are serious about becoming and maintaining your femininity as a woman and becoming a wife, mother, and useful to men. Here's the solution. You ready, ladies? Ready? Decrease your standard of living to average. Oh, shit. Decrease your standard of living. Think about it. What do you mean, decrease your standard of living? Yes, decrease your standard of living to average. Decrease your standard of living to average to where you are, if you're making $60,000, $70,000 a year, fine. Decrease your standard of living down to 40,000. This is a suggestion I make to women all the time. Stop living at your income. Start living at your sexual marketplace value. Oh, but no, that is intolerable for a lot of women. That is intolerable for a lot of women. Why? Why is it intolerable for a lot of women? Because in places they don't want to admit, they like the power and freedom. Women like the feeling of being able to go to La Colonial, to Mastro's, to Ruth Chris, to whatever. They don't mind being in debt because they honestly think that they are the special snowflake that everything's going to just work out for. They don't have to plan. It'll just work. And ladies, it won't unless you are planning to get with a man. Now, I've already been posting it out there. And let me talk about this while I'm at it. I posted Chris Rock up and it said, a man is only as faithful as his options. And I said, basically, successful men cheat. Let me say this, guys. Let me say this to the men who keep deciding to jump in and pull your cape out virtue signal. Shut up. If you're a guy who don't agree with it, if you're a guy that don't cheat, just shut up. Because other men don't want to hear you saying, I don't do that. It ain't about you, homeboy. It's about getting women to understand that it is better for them to accept men as we are, whether men choose to cheat or not. Stop always jumping on posts and shit, trying to be counter for Scooby goddamn snacks. Well, it all depends on your morals in this. I don't cheat. Shut up. You're not helping. It is far more helpful if women today had the mindset of women 50, 70, 100 years ago. Boys will be boys. It's just something guys do. As long as it doesn't cause any problems. We're going to have this duked out, guys, one day. But I would tell you over here, if you're not helping level set women, if you're providing, well, no, ladies, such and so forth, it seems like you're dirty macking as far as we're concerned. If you don't cheat, so what? I don't cheat, but I'm still going to tell women that men are basically as faithful as their options because, in my opinion, it is far better for women to understand male nature. It's a possibility and make peace with it. Versus trying to control men. That's one of the problems. Men today are so tired of having everything that it is to be a man be bad. Toxic masculinity. You think about sex and you this and that. Men are tired of being told that we're bad to the point to where now they're hell with it. Ladies, if you don't want a man to cheat, get a woman. Buy a dog, die alone. Well, I'll get an average man. So what? We know how that goes. We know how that goes. All right. Well, I told you guys to get the likes up.
The interesting thing about this segment of Mr. Samuels is that actually, I think in this particular monologue, he's much harder on men than on women. His message to men is, let's just stop with the individualistic way of peacocking for individual women. Let's shoot for the higher goal here. Let's all work together to put women in their place. No, I'm just kidding. It feels like that, right? But actually, I get the message. Some men who may be the losers in the totem pole of men sometimes sabotage the collective goal of men to collectively teach women how to be attractive to men. And yes, I agree with Mr. Samuels. Those men are not helping. They are often the beta men who maybe don't have much luck, and the only way they can be seen as attractive to women is if they kowtow to women, and that's perhaps actually an own goal. Women don't really respect such men, actually. How do I know? Don't ask. Anyway, the other point which I just want to touch on briefly before I end this video is the point at the very beginning of this particular part of the video where Mr. Samuels talks about the solution. The solution is decrease your expenditure. Practice being part of something bigger. Don't use all your income on yourself. If you are rich because you are maybe highly educated or you've got a very good career, well, why don't you start using that money, that fame, that education, and leveraging it for others? And the only way to do that is to actually have less spent on yourself. How about already practicing the goal of being a contributor to a bigger ideal, to a family, for example? Now, you can always practice it even if you're not in that family yet. It's a good habit to have because, hey, it could well turn out that you never get married or never get into a relationship and you need to you need to finance your own life. You need to cater for yourself. You need to fill your own socks later in life. So why not start living frugally? That if tougher times hit, you're already there. You've already learned how to do that. Just a thought. Just a thought. It certainly doesn't hurt to start this good habit. And it's always beneficial if you do meet somebody with whom you want to then build a future, which may involve children, may involve other people, not necessarily children, maybe other relatives. So in this way, you are already prepared. And as they say, where your head is at is where your future lies. If you already have that mindset, I'm going to be part of a team, and you start acting like it, when you meet someone, you can then share resources because you're already used to living frugally with the other person, that future person, that as yet unknown person in mind for the future. I think it helps. Anyway, I have spoken far too much. Let's end this video here. All God's blessings, all God's graces, peace, harmony, and joy to all my listeners. It's good to be back after a small hiatus. Thank you very much for all those who've subscribed. And for those who haven't yet, hey, here is your wake-up call to do so. Thank you very much in advance. Goodbye for now. See you in the next video.